very important to know how to move things around in the sequence view. There's oftentimes that you need to rearrange the order in which things are going to stitch out. So in this video, we're going to explore the different ways that you can move objects around utilizing the sequence view. So in the previous video, you might recall that we talked about renaming color sequences and objects in the color sequence, I should say. And you can see here that I've gone ahead and renamed some more here where it says left flower center, talking about this piece right here. Left flower center run, the run stitch goes around it, and then middle flower center run. So you have those renamed here, or from satin path to an actual name. And the reason that you might want to rename them is to make it easier when you go to move things around. So for instance, if I want to start with the right flower, then the center, and then the left, I will need to rearrange them in the order in the sequence view. So I don't want the left flower to stitch first, I want the right flower to. So what I will need to do in this situation is rearrange these. So I can select, and it's very important that you select both of them. I can select both objects for the left flower at the same time, and by how I do that is select one and then hold down either Control or Shift and click the second one, so they're both highlighted in blue here, and then I can just click and drag them into a different position, and it's going to drop it below the one that's highlighted as I scroll down here. So if I want it below here, I just click right there, and now you'll see that this left center flower now stitches after the right, but I also need the middle flower to go after the right flower. So here's a different way that you can do it. I can select both middle pieces, and I can right click and I can choose cut. And by cutting, it's basically cutting it out of the design. But then I can come in to this left flower, the first one. I can select it, right mouse click, and click insert. And what that's going to do is insert it above whatever I select. It's important to understand that whenever you select something and then go to insert, it's going to throw it above it. That might be a way to move something that you might have to go from one color sequence to a totally different color sequence in a design. It's easier than clicking and dragging it through multiple color sequences to find where you need to go. That's how and when I'll use the cut and insert. So again, that was selecting one or more pieces, clicking cut, it'll cut it out, and then find the area that I want it to go and select the piece I want it to go above, right click and click insert, and that will drop it in there. So that's another way that you can do it. But as you can see now, I have the right flower, the center, and the run, middle flower, the center, and the run, and then the left. So now I have it rearranged in the order I want. The other thing that you have the ability to do is actually move an entire color sequence at a time. I just showed you how to move a couple objects in a color sequence, but you can click on a color sequence title and move it. So for example, I might want this bird, the light blue and the royal blue, to stitch before the pink in the design, for instance. If I want that to happen, I can select the light blue, hold down Shift, and select the next object, and now I can click and drag it to that green, and when I release it, it's going to drop it below. So when you're going this direction and you're selecting multiple pieces and you're moving them, whatever your cursor highlights as you move it, so in this case again I'm going to click off of it, I'll select these two, it'll drop it below whatever highlights. So if I drop it right here, it'll drop it in below the pink. If I do it right here, it'll drop it in below this green. But I want it to be, let's say, after this gray here. So I'm just going to go to where it highlights it, release it, and you can see it drops it right below. So I moved multiples at the same time. And you can do that. And the other thing that you can do is you can select one and then you can skip one, hold down Control, and click again. Now it'll move both of these at the same time. So I could move this in between the light blue and the medium blue, and it's going to drop those both in there just like that. It's very important to know how to move things around in the sequence view, because this is the order in which the design stitches out on your machine. So if you want something to stitch first, it needs to be at the top of the list, and then whatever you want after it to go sequentially. So moving things around, it's not difficult to do, but it takes a little bit of practice. And as a last thing here, I'm going to come down here to this text, and let's say I needed to make sure that this stitched out first in the design. It's a part of an entire color sequence, but that doesn't really matter. I can select it, and I can just click and drag it up, and I can drop it right below this gray artwork here, and it's going to, I accidentally selected the wrong one there, select that text, come up here, and you'll notice that I can drop it in right below this artwork. And for some reason, it's not selecting the text. There's like a little bug going on in the software, it looks like, and which is okay. You can see that it did actually move it that time. I don't know why it didn't before, but that's how you can move something out of a color sequence into another. So hope this video helps. Make sure you learn how to move objects around in the color sequence view, because it's very important.